Right now, as you listen to these words, your mind is processing a staggering amount of information, most of which you aren't even aware of. Scientists estimate that only 5% of your mental activity is conscious. The remaining 95%? That's the realm of your subconscious, an unfathomable intelligence operating beneath your awareness. But what if that hidden part of your mind isn't just responsible for habits, instincts, or suppressed memories? What if it's actually connected to something far greater, something beyond the physical world? This isn't just speculation. Decades of research suggest that your subconscious might be the very key to accessing higher dimensions. There are people who have inexplicably known things they couldn't possibly have learned in any conventional way. In documented cases, individuals have described events, locations, and information that should have been impossible for them to perceive. How? The answer lies in the nature of consciousness itself. By the time you finish this video, you'll have an entirely new understanding of reality. You'll see the undeniable link between the subconscious mind and dimensions beyond our three-dimensional existence. And, most importantly, you'll learn 3 powerful techniques to tap into this gateway for yourself. For now, let's begin with what science has uncovered. The proof that the subconscious mind isn't just a passive storage system, but an active force capable of altering reality itself. In the late 20th century, researchers at Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Laboratory conducted over 10,000 experiments on human consciousness and its effect on physical systems. The results? Mind-blowing. They found undeniable evidence that human thought alone can influence external reality, far beyond the statistical probabilities of random chance. Subjects were able to alter the output of random number generators, subtly shift physical patterns, and even demonstrate results that suggested a direct link between consciousness and the physical world. But this phenomenon isn't just limited to lab experiments. Modern neuroscience confirms that the subconscious processes information at a speed and scale that dwarfs the conscious mind. While your conscious mind can only handle about 40 bits of information per second, your subconscious is processing millions. This means that beneath your awareness, an immense amount of data is being analyzed, interpreted, and potentially connecting to things far beyond what we typically define as reality. Now, here's where things take a turn toward the truly unexplainable. Quantum physics, the very foundation of modern science, has repeatedly shown that the act of observation affects reality. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrated that particles exist in a state of probability until they are observed, at which point they choose a definite state. This implies that consciousness itself has an undeniable role in shaping the physical world. More shockingly, quantum non-locality suggests that information can travel instantaneously across vast distances, defying classical physics. If observation collapses quantum possibilities into reality, and if information isn't bound by space and time, then what happens when your subconscious mind, operating at speeds far beyond your conscious awareness, interacts with this quantum field? Could it be receiving and processing information from dimensions beyond our perception? This is where the link between neuroscience and quantum physics becomes undeniable. Your subconscious mind might not just be a function of your brain, it could be a receiver, tapping into a greater field of information that transcends physical limitations. The implications of this are profound. If your subconscious is already interacting with something beyond our conventional understanding of reality, then learning to consciously access it could unlock insights, experiences, and even abilities that seem impossible under traditional science. And this is just the beginning. As we continue, you'll discover that this connection isn't just a theoretical possibility. It's something ancient cultures, mystics, and even modern scientific studies have explored for centuries. But before we get there, take a moment to consider, if your subconscious is already connected to something greater, what could you access if you knew how to control it? If the subconscious mind truly acts as a bridge to higher dimensions, then evidence of this connection shouldn't just exist in modern science. It should appear throughout history. And that's exactly what we find. Across the world, in vastly different cultures and time periods, people have independently discovered methods to access this hidden gateway. The most astonishing part? These methods share striking similarities, despite being developed by civilizations with no contact with each other. This suggests that the ability to tap into higher dimensions isn't just a cultural phenomenon. It's a fundamental aspect of human consciousness itself. Ancient texts from Egypt, India, and China all describe states of awareness that transcend normal perception. The ancient Egyptians believed that during deep trance states, the mind could leave the body and interact with non-physical realms. In India, yogis documented techniques for entering samadhi, a state of consciousness beyond time and space, where knowledge seemed to flow from an unknown source. And in China, Taoist mystics practiced advanced meditative techniques to connect with what they called the Tao, an invisible yet ever-present force governing reality. But what's even more revealing is that these practices weren't just mystical traditions. They had practical applications, many of which modern science is now beginning to validate. Take shamanic journeying, for example. Indigenous shamans from the Amazon to Siberia have long used altered states of consciousness to access information beyond the physical world. By entering deep trance states, often through rhythmic drumming, fasting, or breath control, shamans claim to receive knowledge from other realms, including insights about healing, future events, or distant locations. For centuries, skeptics dismissed these claims as primitive superstition. But modern research into altered states of consciousness has revealed that the human brain undergoes dramatic changes during these experiences. Neuroscientists have found that deep trance states cause a shift in brainwave activity, particularly an increase in theta waves, the same frequency associated with subconscious processing, lucid dreaming, and deep intuition. This suggests that ancient shamans weren't hallucinating. They were accessing the subconscious in a way that allowed them to tap into a vast, unseen information network. In other words, their practices may have been an early form of what today's quantum researchers describe as non-local consciousness. And shamanic techniques aren't the only historical evidence of this connection. One of the most intriguing examples comes from ancient Greece, where temples dedicated to dream incubation were used for divine revelations. People seeking answers would spend the night in these temples, hoping to receive visions or guidance in their dreams. Many of these dreams contained information that the dreamers had no way of knowing beforehand, sometimes including solutions to complex problems, predictions of future events, or even detailed medical knowledge. Fast forward to modern times, and we see a similar phenomenon in studies of remote viewing, a practice where individuals access information about distant places or events without any prior exposure. The U.S. government even funded classified research into remote viewing under the Stargate project, where participants were able to describe hidden locations with astonishing accuracy. And then there are savants, individuals with extraordinary mental abilities that defy logical explanation. Some savants can perform complex mathematical calculations instantly, compose symphonies despite never having studied music, or recall vast amounts of information with no formal education. Where does this knowledge come from? Some researchers believe that savants may have an unusual ability to tap into subconscious data processing at an extreme level. Others suggest that their minds might be accessing a universal field of information, what some traditions call the Akashic records or the collective unconscious. Even near-death experiences, NDEs, provide compelling evidence of subconscious access to higher dimensions. Countless documented cases describe individuals gaining knowledge they couldn't have possibly learned through conventional means. Many report experiencing expanded awareness, where they suddenly understood profound truths about the nature of reality. Others describe meeting beings of light who impart information beyond human comprehension. If all of these historical, cultural, and modern cases point to the same conclusion, that the subconscious mind connects to something greater, then the question is no longer whether this phenomenon is real. The question is, how can you use it? That's what we'll uncover next. What if dreams aren't just random neural activity but actual experiences in higher dimensions? And more importantly, how can you control them? Throughout history, dreams have been dismissed as nothing more than the mind's random way of sorting through daily experiences. But what if that assumption is completely wrong? What if your dreams aren't just mental noise, but actual journeys into higher dimensions? For centuries, mystics, philosophers, and even some scientists have claimed that altered states of consciousness, such as deep meditation, lucid dreaming, or hypnosis, aren't simply internal experiences. Instead, They suggest that these states allow the subconscious mind to access realities beyond our three-dimensional world. And now, modern research is beginning to provide scientific backing for these claims. To understand how this works, we need to look at the mechanics of consciousness itself. Your conscious mind, the part of you that thinks, reasons, and makes decisions, is limited. It functions linearly, processing one thought at a time. But your subconscious mind operates differently. It's constantly absorbing, analyzing, and even predicting patterns at a level beyond your conscious awareness. And here's where things get interesting. Experiments in neuroscience show that your brain responds to stimuli before you consciously recognize them. In other words, your subconscious knows things before your conscious mind does. This suggests that information doesn't originate in your conscious awareness. It emerges from the subconscious first. Now, let's take this a step further. If the subconscious has access to information before the conscious mind does, then where is this information coming from? Some researchers believe the answer lies in the quantum field, a vast, interconnected energy system that contains all possibilities. Quantum physics has already proven that particles exist in multiple states until they are observed. This means that reality itself is fluid, shaped by the act of consciousness interacting with it. If that's true, then what happens when your subconscious mind interacts with this quantum field? The answer might lie in what some call the dimensional gateway model. According to this theory, your subconscious isn't just a passive storage system. It's a receiver, constantly tuning into different layers of reality. Under normal conditions, your conscious mind filters out most of this information. But when you enter altered states, such as deep trance, lucid dreams, or meditation, those filters loosen. And when that happens, your subconscious can access dimensions of reality that would otherwise remain hidden. One way to understand this is to compare normal consciousness to an old radio with a single station. Most people go through life tuned into just one frequency, the physical world. But when you access deeper states of consciousness, it's like unlocking a radio with unlimited channels, each broadcasting from a different dimension. And the most compelling evidence for this? People who have accessed these altered states often return with knowledge they couldn't have possibly acquired through normal means. Some report vivid dreams where they receive detailed scientific insights or even entire compositions of music that they later confirm had never been written before. Others describe interactions with entities who impart advanced wisdom, often revealing concepts that later prove to be scientifically or philosophically profound. One of the most astonishing aspects of this phenomenon is that many of these experiences share common patterns. People from different cultures, backgrounds, and belief systems report eerily similar descriptions of entering a vast, hyperreal space filled with geometrically complex structures or receiving knowledge that feels like it's being downloaded into their minds. Some researchers believe this is evidence that these individuals aren't merely experiencing random hallucinations but are actually tapping into a deeper reality, a field of information that exists beyond physical space and time. And if that's true, then this leads to an even bigger question. How can we deliberately access this gateway? If your subconscious mind is already interacting with higher dimensions, is it possible to train yourself to do this at will? That's exactly what we'll explore next. In the following section, you'll see undeniable proof. Real cases where people have accessed impossible information through their subconscious mind. And after that, you'll learn the techniques to do it yourself. But before we move on, consider this. If your subconscious already has access to dimensions beyond this reality, how much of what you think is intuition is actually direct knowledge from a higher plane? And if you could fully control that ability, what would you be capable of? If the subconscious mind is truly a gateway to higher dimensions, then there should be verifiable proof, cases where individuals have accessed knowledge beyond the limits of conventional understanding. And that's exactly what we find. In 1995, a participant in a controlled scientific study was asked to describe a hidden location, one they had never visited, seen, or even heard of before. The participant entered a relaxed, altered state of consciousness and began describing vivid details. A large body of water, an old stone structure, and specific patterns in the surrounding landscape. When the results were compared to the actual target location, 500 miles away, the accuracy was undeniable. This wasn't a lucky guess. It was a demonstration of the subconscious accessing information beyond normal perception. But this case isn't unique. There are countless documented examples of subconscious awareness bypassing time, space, and logic. Some of the most astonishing involve precognition, the ability to perceive events before they happen. In controlled experiments, subjects have consistently demonstrated knowledge of future events that had not yet occurred. One study, conducted by respected psychologist Dr. Daryl Baim, showed that participants were able to predict random images before they were even displayed. The odds of this happening by chance? Astronomically low. Even more compelling are cases of telepathic connection. In 1971, astronaut Edgar Mitchell was returning from the moon when he decided to conduct an unofficial experiment. He attempted to send mental images to participants on Earth at prearranged times, focusing on specific symbols. When the results were analyzed, the participants reported receiving the exact images with a statistical accuracy that defied random chance. Mitchell later became a leading advocate for the idea that consciousness isn't confined to the brain. It extends into a larger, interconnected field of awareness. And then there's the case of Ingo Swann, a participant in the U.S. government's remote viewing program. Swann was asked to describe Jupiter before NASA's Pioneer 10 spacecraft had ever sent back images. He reported details that were later confirmed, such as Jupiter's rings, which scientists had not yet discovered. His descriptions were so precise that even skeptics struggled to explain them. These cases aren't just isolated anomalies. They point to a consistent pattern. The subconscious mind is capable of accessing information beyond sensory limitations. And the implications of this are staggering. Scientific studies on altered states of consciousness reinforce this idea. Brain scans of people in deep meditation or hypnosis show that their neural activity shifts dramatically, often resembling dream states or even psychedelic experiences, both of which have been linked to heightened intuition and knowledge retrieval. More importantly, these findings suggest that this ability isn't limited to a few gifted individuals. If the subconscious mind naturally interacts with a field of non-local information, then anyone, under the right conditions, should be able to access it. The real question, then, is not whether this ability exists but how you can harness it for yourself. And that's exactly what comes next. In the final section, you'll learn 3 powerful techniques to activate this hidden ability, methods backed by both ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience. These aren't abstract concepts. They are practical, step-by-step methods that can allow you to access higher dimensions at will. But before we move forward, consider this. If these cases prove that the subconscious mind can reach beyond space and time, then how much of what you think is intuition, déjà vu, or a random thought is actually a glimpse into something far greater? All of the evidence points to one undeniable truth. Your subconscious mind is already connected to something beyond the physical world. But the real question is, can you control it? Is it possible to train yourself to access these hidden dimensions at will? The answer is yes. And the most powerful part? You don't need years of practice or special abilities. The techniques you're about to learn have been used by mystics, scientists, and high-level thinkers for centuries. They work because they are based on the fundamental mechanics of the subconscious mind. The first technique rewires your brain to naturally tune into higher states of awareness. The second method taps into a hidden doorway that most people access by accident, but you'll learn how to do it on command. And the third technique? It's the closest thing to a direct bridge between your subconscious and the quantum field. Each of these methods is designed to bypass the limitations of the conscious mind and give you direct access to the expanded reality your subconscious is already connected to. Technique number 1, Theta Brainwave Entrainment Method. The first step in unlocking the subconscious gateway is training your brain to operate in the right frequency. Right now, your mind is likely in the beta state, active, logical, and focused on the external world. But to tap into higher dimensions, you need to shift into theta, a state of deep relaxation where subconscious processing takes over. Theta waves are the key because they dominate during moments of heightened intuition, deep meditation, and even certain psychic phenomena. Studies have shown that individuals who experience lucid dreams, remote viewing, or deep meditative states all have increased theta activity. The simplest way to trigger theta waves is through brainwave entrainment. This method uses specific frequencies, played through sound or vibrations, to guide your brain into a subconscious accessible state. Binaural beats and isochronic tones tuned to 6 to 8 Hz are particularly effective. Here's how you can use this method. 1. Find a quiet space, ensure you won't be interrupted. 2. Use theta frequency audio, put on a pair of headphones and listen to a track designed for theta brainwave entrainment. 3. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Slow your breathing and allow your thoughts to quiet. 4. Enter the hypnagogic state. This is the point between wakefulness and sleep. Instead of drifting off, maintain awareness while letting your mind relax completely. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Eventually, your brain will recognize the state as a gateway and allow subconscious impressions, symbols, messages, or even direct knowledge to surface. Technique number 2, hypnagogic state journaling practice. The second technique takes advantage of a powerful but overlooked moment, the seconds before you fall asleep. This brief window, known as the hypnagogic state, is when your conscious mind relaxes its grip, allowing subconscious impressions to emerge. Many of history's greatest thinkers, Nikola Tesla, Salvador Dali, and Thomas Edison, used this exact technique to receive groundbreaking insights. The reason this works is that, in this state, your subconscious is fully active while your rational mind is temporarily offline. Ideas and visions come through unfiltered, often providing answers to questions you weren't even consciously thinking about. Here's how to use this technique. 1. Get comfortable. Lie down and close your eyes, but resist falling asleep. 2. Hold an object in one hand, something like a small ball or set of keys. 3. Relax into the hypnagogic state. As your body drifts towards sleep, remain passively aware of any thoughts, symbols, or images that appear. 4. The moment you begin to lose grip on the object, jerk awake and write down what you experienced. The subconscious messages you receive in this state often contain deep insights. The key is repetition. The more often you do this, the stronger your connection becomes. Eventually, you'll reach a point where you can trigger subconscious downloads of information on command. Technique number 3, quantum meditation protocol. The final technique is the most advanced and the most powerful. This method is based on the idea that the subconscious mind acts as an antenna, capable of tuning into a quantum information field. Quantum physicists have long speculated that consciousness isn't localized in the brain but rather exists as part of a larger, interconnected field. This would explain why remote viewing, telepathy, and even precognition are possible, because your mind is simply receiving information from a higher source. This meditation protocol is designed to tap into that field. 1. Sit in a comfortable position. Keep your spine straight and your hands resting on your lap. 2. Focus on your breath and slow it down. The goal is to quiet the analytical mind and allow subconscious access to take over. 3. Use a simple mental anchor, a symbol, a mantra, or a question. This directs your subconscious toward the information you seek. 4. Shift your awareness from inside your head to everywhere. Instead of focusing on thoughts, feel as though your consciousness is expanding outward, merging with a larger field. 5. Wait for the response. At first, impressions might be subtle, flashes of images, feelings, or abstract thoughts. But with practice, they become clearer and more direct. Many who practice this technique report receiving spontaneous insights, visions, or even clear knowledge that later proves accurate. Every person has the ability to access these higher states of consciousness. The subconscious mind is already linked to dimensions beyond ordinary perception. It's simply a matter of training yourself to listen. These 3 techniques offer a structured approach to doing just that. The first conditions your brain to shift into an optimal frequency. The second allows you to capture raw subconscious impressions. And the third taps into the quantum field itself. But the real power of these methods isn't just in using them once. The more consistently you practice, the deeper your connection becomes. And the next time you experience a powerful gut feeling, a vivid dream, or an unexplainable moment of insight, consider the possibility that it wasn't random at all. Your subconscious might already be showing you glimpses of a reality far beyond the one you've known. Everything you've just learned points to one undeniable truth. Your subconscious mind is not just a hidden storage unit for forgotten memories or automatic behaviors. It's something far more powerful. It's a gateway, a bridge between what we perceive as reality and the vast, multidimensional structure that exists beyond the limits of the five senses. Scientific research, historical records, and direct experiential proof all point to the same conclusion. The subconscious mind is capable of accessing information that defies logic, space, and even time itself. You've seen the studies, how trained individuals have retrieved knowledge about distant locations, unknown events, and even future outcomes with stunning accuracy. You've learned about the techniques that ancient civilizations used to tap into these higher states of awareness. And you now have 3 methods in your hands, proven ways to activate this ability within yourself. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because this isn't just about understanding a concept. It's about using it. Right now, as you're listening to this, your subconscious is still processing information at speeds far beyond what your conscious mind can handle. It's making connections, drawing insights, and possibly even accessing layers of reality you aren't fully aware of yet. The next time you experience a sudden intuition, a dream that feels more real than waking life, or a gut feeling that defies logic, pay attention. What if that moment of insight wasn't random? What if it was your subconscious already reaching into a higher dimension and trying to communicate something to you? Start applying the techniques shared in this video. Test them for yourself. And when you do, expect results. Because once you open this gateway, there's no turning back. And if you've ever had an experience that felt like a glimpse into something greater, drop it in the comments below. I'll personally analyze what dimension you might have accessed. This is just the beginning. In the next video, we're going even deeper into the mechanics of how consciousness interacts with reality itself, and how you can use this knowledge to reshape your world from the inside out. So if you're ready for the next level, stay tuned.